Which homegirls got their podcast out here, Mr. Lee?
Antisocialites. Antisocialites, that's one of them.
What's up, what's up? You are tuned into the Antisocialites podcast. It's your girl, jxstFE.
And it's your girl, Vina9.
And we are here, in effect, dose,
Yes.
both of us.
Too.
Yes. We thought we'd come and give you some dope topics, some interesting, controversial talk that's happening in South Florida and around the world.
Literally.
Right. We just got off of a holiday weekend, Memorial Day.
Memorial weekend.
Spent half of it in Miami.
Half of it on the West Coast, even though it was flipped because you're from the West Coast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to Vegas. That was
I
cool.
was a little jelly.
Don't be jelly. It was fun, and then our road trip with my bestie to LA. With the AOD Mondays. That was a
Oh yeah,
vibe.
how was that?
It was cool. It wasn't like, it's not Miami. They don't take their clothes off.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. And then what was really weird was that a couple minutes prior to closing, they like take your drinks. Like, and they make you pour your drinks out. I'm like, what? Like, that's a little weird.
Right, and it closes like before 2, right?
It depends on how lit the night is or whatever
Okay.
it may be. So it closed at like 2 something, almost 3 o'clock. But around, I know for sure around 1:50, like I was like, wait, I got 9 minutes. You know, like
Oh.
they have a bucket and they take your drink, like the security come, they take your drink and they pour it out. And I thought that was really, I was like, what are you doing? Like,
Wow. I mean, I hear people, the controversy is like, where is the best place to go for Memorial Day weekend? And, when you left, everything was quiet, everything was cool. But then on Sunday night, things popped off out here where Urban Beach Week turned into, okay, here we go again.
I know.
And some people died.
yeah, well, I read up on that story and basically, and then I see somebody posting like, always New Yorkers. But honestly,
It was though.
It was New Yorkers. The thing is, I mean, the argument was over a parking space, which I don't know about you, but I've almost gotten into really heated arguments with people, even at the mall. So I could see that having not escalate into the point where they use gun violence. But parking is a crucial matter out here. Not to say you lose your life over it, but just to say that it could have happened anywhere.
Right.
It just so happens to have happened Memorial Day weekend, and unfortunately, that has drawn a lot of controversy and people or city officials wanting to shut down that weekend, even though it's unofficial.
Right. And so what's interesting is I've talked to other people that don't really go near the beach, don't know what really goes on. And they thought that Urban Beach Week was an actual festival. Like they thought like it was a holiday. The city attracts, urban people to come. But what I tried to explain to them was Memorial Weekend has historically been a weekend that Black and brown people just like to go because it's a 3-day weekend. They like to go travel, turn up. It's like the beginning of the summer. It kind of sets the tone. And Miami for the last, since I've been here, since you've been here, I'm sure you've seen.
Honestly, I never had ends in Memorial Day weekend. I've never experienced it as a tourist. I might have went out one night or something, but I've never had the whole Miami Memorial Day weekend experience. Super turn up.
Yeah.
I've been at events, but I haven't spent the whole weekend on the beach and did that whole crazy thing. I've never done it.
My first year living out here, a bunch of my friends came and we literally stayed on the beach, went to people's pool parties, mansion parties. It was lit. And the clubs, obviously, once you live here, you realize how much the clubs overcharge to get their money, how ridiculous it is. I mean, the dress code doesn't change. They still let anybody in as long as you got the money.
Right.
Now, the difference is you have an overabundance or more than normal amount of, Black people, whatever, on the beach. And they're literally dressed how they want. I'm seeing it's getting worse and worse every year. And then obviously, Miami's liquor laws are a little bit more lenient. You can walk with alcohol, whatever. But the thing is that, like you said, the commissioner now is speaking out about it, Commissioner Greco. And he just posted today that he wants to, in addition to close clubs at 10 o'clock p.m., he wants to limit alcohol consumption after a certain time, starting May 15th all the way to May 30th.
Okay, my only issue with that is Urban Beach Week, whatever you want to call it, is one thing, but we have so many different festivals, so many different events that come down here, and people overdose, people kill each other. Shit happens. It's just not exploited. It's not exposed over the media.
Right.
So it doesn't get the same attention. And so before Urban Beach Week happens, there's 2 weeks of people talking shit about it. You know what I'm saying? And not wanting to make it, you know, something a little bit more, I don't know.
Welcoming?
Yeah, welcoming is a great word.
It's more like negative, like, oh
it's
my God.
already negative, and it doesn't have to be that way because, and look at this. The whole weekend, there wasn't that much trouble aside from the fact that people was being ratchet.
Yeah.
Which spring breakers are ratchet all the fucking
Go to
all
Daytona
March,
Beach and you'll
April.
see the other side of the coin.
So,
Like, there's a documentary on Netflix that you should watch.
Oh,
Well, you
I've seen
you walked
some
in,
of
we were
it.
watching it, and it was showing what spring break has become in Florida from Daytona Beach. It came to Fort Lauderdale, but it's the white version of spring break and
Right.
how MTV capitalized
which
on
is
it.
probably even
They
worse.
were worse than what I've seen on Urban Beach Week. Like,
Right.
of course, the booty clapping, the girls, you know, drinking.
What can you
like,
think about it? In Africa, they do all the
right,
time.
and like we go to strip clubs and we glorify it, but then
Yeah.
as soon as it comes out to public for one weekend, it's like, oh no.
And everybody that comes to Miami wants to go to strip club. They want to go to Cayman Islands. They want to experience this thing. Even if they don't go to the black strip clubs, they go to the white strip clubs. So it's like, come on, like stop trying to deem it as such a bad thing. And I also read, I know Uncle Luke or Mayor Luke or whatever he want to call himself, the King of Miami, whatever. He made this post like 2 days ago, probably on Saturday, about how he wanted to make it an official weekend and they didn't. They like kind of like blackballed him, or they said no.
He had it set up, everything. He had like
and
Diddy.
nobody worked.
He had
Nobody wanted to work
performers.
with him.
He had performers scheduled. It was supposed to be something Mama or something African festival, and it was going to be more organized chaos. Which I think like this is okay. If you're gonna, first of all, if you're going to segregate the beach like you guys have done in the past, and say, oh, alcohol can't be sold after a certain time, clubs have to close, then what happens to the economy?
That's what I'm saying. The business that's affected.
What happens to the people that make their living off the nightlife? So you're not only making it about black people, but you're also like drive down Washington right now, and all those businesses are already closed on the right side. Like there are empty buildings, and there's not even lease signs on there. Like not even for lease. I'm sure like there's no businesses there already. So then you want to crash the one business left that's on the beach that brings in money. But the other part, when you brought up Luke, he was saying how they're already like hotels and like food vendors and all that. They already treat those people like they don't want to serve them when they come.
He also stated that, you know, when you think about Ultra Week or what is it, the Winter Music Conference, they have packages. They create these packages, clubs and hotels. They create something so that when people come down there, they are, you know, they get a discounted rate. But when you think of this way, something that they overcharge us.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm not even like, it's like another wake up call. Like, hey, why y'all keep giving y'all money to people that don't want y'all there?
Right.
And the main thing, I think TD Jake said this in an interview with Steve Harvey, go where you're celebrated.
Right.
If they don't want you here, don't try to force the issue. I think for a long time, African Americans have been trying to force and say that they belong somewhere where people don't want them. Create your own way, create your own wave, find somewhere else to party and make it just as good and fun, and tell them to fuck off.
Right, because I mean, unfortunately, like the hotel situation, it's unique on the beach where like you have beaches like Virginia Key Beach, that's historically black-owned beach. You have Hollover that welcomes, you know, all races, but because of where the hotel and the food is, it wouldn't be able to accommodate people coming like that of a South Beach. But like you said, if go where you're celebrated, if Miami Beach don't fuck with us, then let's go. But I feel like also that means they won. I honestly feel like the biggest promoters on the beach, the biggest club owners on the beach, and the people who run nightlife on the beach, whether they're black or white, need to come together and come up with a cohesive organization and say, look, you can't tell a certain group of people that they can't come. But what we can do is make sure that this weekend is more organized. Because what I think the issue is, and let me know if you agree, you on the beach all day for Memorial Day, doing nothing. You're in the water, okay, you're drinking all day. You go back to the hotel, you freshen up. You try to pick which club to go to. All of them are charging $100 to get in. whether it be Story, Dream, Ivy, Live, whatever. They're all charging. Copa Room, Cameo, all of them are charging whatever. Say you can only afford to go out one night, so you choose your night to go, but then the other 3-4 nights you can't afford. What else is there to do? Half of these people don't rent cars because there's no point. They don't leave the beach. Or they have their car, they don't want to leave the beach because obviously they see people congregating. So then what does that cause? It causes people to start trouble. You start congregating outside of these clubs, you start congregating outside these hotels, outside these businesses, and you're not doing nothing. So instead of closing shit down, offer a festival like Luke said, or offer something that's gonna make people, like I said, organize chaos. Bring their attention to something else.
I mean, but that's, so they do have Memorial Day weekend events. It's just that I don't think people, because they don't have cars, they can't go to them. Like Best of the Best is right there on the other side of the bridge, which is a reggae festival and a lot of American artists, and they have that, but people don't go. Or they do go, but it's mostly local people that know that this is about to happen. You have the comedy festival. There are other options, but then, like you said, the beach needs to create something that is welcoming, because all of those artists are there. They're chilling. They waiting to do stuff, but who's going to be that voice? I mean, if Luke can't get it done,
that's why I said the club owners, the biggest promoters, they all need to come together with the city commissioners and say, look, because we have other events off the beach, let's create bus tours that take these kids off the beach. Or let's partner with these organizations that actually have things that aren't at night, or maybe are at night, but earlier in the night, not 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and say these are your other options. Like you said, at Ultra, what do? They package things so that people have options, right? And that they can save their money and do multiple things. So do the same thing and offer it to the kids that come here.
However, the issue so when you see Ultra, it's a music festival and everybody's coming together and it's like the best of the best, right?
And after parties.
And all that cool stuff. But when you think of Miami Beach Week, every promoter is trying to get the most out of the most dollar out of whoever is coming into town. And who's coming into town? Urban people. And they know, for some odd reason, we have this flaw and this problem of being super gullible and putting out money for things that are for show, as opposed to things that are beneficial for us. So, like you said, you come out here this whole weekend, you're doing absolutely nothing. You're spending a lot of money to do nothing. That's what we do as Black people.
Change it up.
Our mindsets have to change.
Right, but if we, so instead of saying we don't want you here, we're going to close the clubs at 10, we're going to make sure nobody sells you liquor after 10, that's putting a negative taste in people's mouth. Why don't you change the atmosphere so that it attracts the people? Those people that come right now that don't do nothing, start trouble, they're going to start going to other places because they're going to realize, oh, there's shit out there.
I think what they fail to realize is that not only Black people or African Americans or brown, whatever you want to call them, come during Memorial Day weekend.
Well, they tried to do that little air show. I caught some of it when I was on the beach. They had the planes and the military coming.
Yeah, the air show is but it's every year. Here's the thing. If you close down the clubs and things at 10 p.m., what about the other people that just came down here that didn't even know that it was this weekend happening and they come down here? Like, there's still Caucasian people, there's still Europeans, there's still different types of people that come. So you're gonna sanction this for everybody? Like, no. I don't think you would care about your economy.
They don't.
But with all these condos that they're building, they don't give a fuck about
this. No, the international market that's here doesn't incorporate Black and brown people. If they do, it's the international maybe, but it's not that. And I just think that instead of it just being like, this is what I'm gonna do and I don't care, if he was for the people, the commissioner, Greco, however the fuck you pronounce your name, if you're for the people, then you need to make sure that you reach out to these club people, these promoters, these party people, the people that actually are doing their business, how they do it, and see what you can do to make it more inclusive rather than exclude a certain amount, a certain type of people. I mean, because that's just ridiculous. Like, we're going back to when the beach, only Black people could stay in Overtown and then perform on the beach, but then had to leave. Like, that's what it feels like.
Are we going to transition into another topic? Because clearly all we know is that racism exists in all shapes and forms, and it all goes back to knowing economics and knowing your worth. But if you want to transition, we can transition to LeBron. Like,
oh, wow.
The irony in that, like, when you think about it, all of these things just keep flowing together. Like, LeBron is the god right now. He is the NBA. Everybody loves him. Like he's the child, the NBA child. He's not MJ, but he is one of the greatest at the moment. And he's like, it's at the end of the day, I don't care how much money you have. It's really hard being an African American in America.
And to think that, okay, this happened to this man, his LA home gets vandalized, it's a clear hate crime. Regardless if, you know, people always try to justify why it happened. But at the end of the day, like you said, well, he said, it's hard to be an African American in this day and age. We have a president who does not denounce hatred, racism. He doesn't even, the most hatred he spoke on is Judaism, and that's only because he has family that is Jewish, his wife's husband or whatever, and so he knows that Israel relations, like they've asked him to denounce the hate towards, you know, Jewish people, but it's like that's the only thing he'll go, that's as far as he'll go. And for LeBron to, you know, it doesn't matter what class you are, how much money you make, it does not matter. At the end of the day, I think the black person is the most hated person in this whole entire world.
Especially the irony in it, ain't nobody asked y'all to bring us over here. Like y'all mad at us for being here, y'all mad at us for what we are at this, and still the reason we're here is because of you.
And the thing is, like, I watched today, Roland Martin argue with that
yesterday.
white supremacist.
I put it's all over my Instagram. Oh no, well I didn't. I seen him on the Breakfast
No. I saw him. There's this white supremacist that actually was on Charles Barkley's wannabe racist show on. He wants to go into communities and find out why people are racist. Charles Barkley.
Oh wait, you know what? I had a whole conversation about this and we couldn't figure out like why is he sitting there taking it in. Like I think some guy was like saying a whole bunch of racist stuff, and he was just sitting there and just taking it, and we was just like, well,
so that guy tried to challenge Roland Martin on Roland Martin's show. Roland Martin was like, you do understand that scientists have proven that man came from black. Like you can only get white from black, you can't get black from white. And the first people were in Africa. And he goes, well, the Egyptians were white. No. And he was like, no, they're not. And so he started showing them pictures. And he was like, you know who built the pyramids? He goes, white people built the pyramids. Black people didn't build. And I'm just like, there's people out there that literally have conditioned themselves to think that regardless of science, facts, history, any of that, this is what they believe.
Which is really fucked up, because when you think about it even more and more, going into another topic, but off topic, or in topic, well, when I sent you the picture of the young lady who has the makeup artist made.
Oh, yeah.
Black. There is, the way to make the human race become one race is to create, like, to kind of like phase us out. Mm-hmm. So how would you do that? Is by mixing, and I'm not against interracial babies or anything like that, but the more you mix, the more you take from one, and you create one type of species, which is the way to kind of remove us from history. The only thing is, we've only been, Roland Martin said, we've only been free for about 40 years. Yeah. In about 2 years, we'll be free for 40 years. Like, away from Jim Crow and all of those other things. It's like, everything that is done in America is done to kind of like remove us or like make us disappear. Like,
well, am I listening right? You're saying that the more interracial, the more people get erased. Like the one race.
They're trying to create one race instead of multiple races. Like, remember, right now everybody's like meshing, everything's turning into one. So we'll be one species soon. And it started with, not to say, like, I'm not talking about interracial date. I'm just saying that it creates one type of race, which is to remove and to take away from what we are supposed to be, which is the strongest species.
Well, then I could say that on the other end, that white supremacist said the same thing. He said he feels, and I don't know if this is kind of what you're saying, he feels as though America, like the climate that Obama kind of created, is that they're going to be the minority soon because everybody is mixing, and the white race itself is no longer going to be dominant because they're going to be mixed with everybody else's race. So is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, but there's extremists who believe the opposite, which is why they're scared of that, which is why they're trying to preserve that for the most part. However, some are using it to stay or continue their lineage or whatever the case may be. So it's kind of fucked up how people think and like how we just can't exist and be our own thing instead of trying to erase one another's existence. Everybody brings something different to the table. And I think that what we don't like, America is our own enemies. We're our own enemies. And all we do is hate each other. Like, we don't fucking need terrorists. We don't need ISIS. We don't need none of that shit. Because within us, we hate each other so much that black people will always, unfortunately, will always be here. And white people will always be here. Because they've conditioned us, mindful, to hate each other. So then you're hating each other. Then you have white people that don't like you. You have other races that think less of us because they have put it in their minds as well to condition everybody to think that we are the lesser, to the point where we even think we're lesser. Like, it's the most fucked up shit ever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would think that with this new museum, Smithsonian Museum for African Americans, would kind of bring a new type of pride and joy from the history of where, you know, black people have come and where we're going. But it's still people mad about that. Like, there's been two nooses found in the segregation display in the past 2 weeks. And at first when I read it, I'm like, well, I would think a noose would be in there. Yeah. Based on history. I'm like, okay, so well, did they take it out and just put it on the floor, or did they hang it up in, you know, in a derogatory way? But they're saying, I guess there aren't any nooses in there because it symbols, it's very symbolic to the bad, deep, dark side of Jim Crow and stuff. So apparently somebody's been, I don't know how, I didn't read totally.
Yeah, and why can't nobody find, or there's video footage or something.
There's video footage. I'm sure this is maybe an inside job, maybe somebody that works there or whatever, or maybe a tourist just dropped it. And I don't know, it's just weird to me. But to even fathom that would be a topic that we're discussing, like, damn, y'all, we can't even have a museum.
But then when you think about a museum, like, think about the Yale or the Harvard students that was mad because they had the black students had a separate ceremony.
Oh, who was mad? Other
people, it was a big deal, even though they had that ceremony all the time. It's just that, you know, like I said it before, we gotta go where we're celebrated. And sometimes if ain't nobody else gonna celebrate you and your accomplishments, you gotta celebrate yourself. The thing about it is, once we start segregating ourselves, people want to deem us as being racist or, you know, having that different. And it's like, no, because of what we go through and have been going through for the past 300 years. People don't realize that sometimes we just want to feel good about who we are, because all that is talked about and everything that's associated with us is bad.
Right.
Even like the color black, the color is associated with darkness and evil, when that's how people start thinking about themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't understand the separate ceremonies. I didn't know that was a history, like they've been doing that. There's this kid from the Bay Area, from Oakland, who graduated with like a 4 whatever, that got a full scholarship to Harvard or Yale. I could be wrong. But I follow him on Instagram because I always look at what he's doing at the school, because it's like a feat for somebody like him to come out of Oakland and go to a school like that. And I always see he's very much surrounded by black brothers and sisters. And I think at a university like that, it has to be important to be able to study, live, cohabitate with like-minded people, because those schools are so embedded in white history, Ivy League, like that. It's not very inclusive at all.
The world for us is not inclusive. I think, here's the thing. Yesterday I was watching the interview on the Breakfast Club. He was talking about how, you know, we only see entertainment and we only see athletes and things like that. But when you think about us and where we don't sit at the table, is like hedge funding and investments. And we went to that climate change town hall meeting where there's a whole market out there, but you only know but so much. You know what I'm saying? So for us, if all we know is to be civil workers and social workers and be the middle class, we can't attain, or we can't reach for more. And it kind of starts to define us. So when you do get that chance to go to Harvard, honestly, I don't think that you should only surround yourself around, you know, black brothers and sisters. I feel like you should reach out and go and meet, you know, and see how the rest of the world works, and not judge them for it, but just have an understanding of how you can make a change and bring that back to Oakland. So with that young man, I really pray and hope that when he comes back, when he finishes his, his terms there, that he does something in the community to expose other young men and little girls that, we can do this. Because I think that's what's lacking in our communities, that nobody is going out and reach, like, once you're there, you get accepted, you start sitting at that table with the folks, and then you kind of forget to come back and literally come back, not just give money, but like literally come back and build some shit.
Make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I think that what you're saying is very important to come back. I just think that once, like, if thinking of somebody like him going to that school and surrounding himself with people, like, it's such a small percentage of the university that's even black. I remember going to a Southern California college tour, and the group I was with were all black and brown. And one of the questions we used to ask was, can you tell us the percentage of race and ethnicities at your school? And like UCLA has over 40,000 students, and they said, 7% of our population is black. I'm like, 7%? I go to UC Irvine, it's even less. It's 3% and 50% Asian.
Well,
I'm like, whoa.
But who's the majority in over there?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, I couldn't see myself going to a school coming from where I'm from that only has that percentage of black people, because I need more diversity. I need more culture. I need whatever. And so I think that's why when you go to an Ivy League school like that, where literally the percentage is so small, that you congregate with your people you create.
Of course. I mean, I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying that if you're in that school, make sure you get you make the most of it. Like, yes, hang with your folks and hang with your people, but guess what? When you get out, like, we both went to HBCUs. Unfortunately, the world is not black. The people that make them powers and the moves are not black. So sometimes it does put you at a disadvantage because you're surrounded by what you're comfortable with, which is your people. But people with Ivy League or public schools that are predominantly white if they don't take advantage of it, they have that ability to be around the way the world works. And that's what I'm saying. Make sure you stay with your black, but you put yourself in situations where you can maneuver and understand the workings of America.
Right.
Not everywhere else, but America for sure, because it's not set up for us.
Right.
So if you know how they work and how they maneuver, you can at least put yourself in a position to move around correctly. If that makes any sense.
No, it makes sense. Of course.
Sometimes I wish I went to a school with more white people. Or more Asian people. Like, yes, I know a lot of Caribbean people because I went to school in Miami, but what if I went to school with somebody that fucking built or knew how to code or dad was in investments and hedge funds and shit like that? It was like, you have a whole different perspective, a whole different look, and a whole different way to make money. And as black people, we don't realize this. Don't shit matter in America but money.
Well, unfortunately, like, I think it also depends on your HBCU, because now looking back, I wish that I would have tapped more into my HBCU's resources rather than I was very caught up in the sports I was playing, rather than being caught up in the fact that, the alumni chapter person is so connected in the city. And I wasn't thinking long term, I was thinking short term.
Me and you both.
Right. So I think that at HBCUs you can still tap in, but because a lot of the times the university itself doesn't ingrain that in the students, like, you need to use us more than, don't just come here, get your education and dip. Like, they need to cultivate more into the students. Like, you need to take from us rather than just like live your life, party, have fun, whatever.
The misconception of college.
Yeah, but
I feel like college is practice, and unfortunately, because some of us are so excited to be away from home, and we just be like, oh, let me go to class, let me go to this party, let me do this. But applaud those who are in SGA and the PACs and those type of organizations, and as well as Greek organizations. But it's just be more mindful. This is the time for us to really make a difference and make changes and, it's only gonna get harder after this.
Oh yeah, life does not get easier. It gets harder, especially when it comes to this job market. Just being able to understand financial systems and all of that. But this is the type of stuff that we talk about all day, every day.
We send text messages, DMs, and
we're definitely more about cultivating knowledge and making sure.
Hey, it's your girl jxstFE.
And it's your girl Vina 9.
And you are now locked in with us, the Anti-Socialites.
So turn up the volume and just chill out.
Because each and every week,
we're coming with that real talk.
Conversations with Miami's business owners, artists, behind-the-scene nightclub professionals,
as well as social activists, community leaders, and aspiring artists.
Real talk from two cool chicks curating Miami's cultures, arts, and lifestyles.